If something is wrong, it's wrong. You know that you can do better than that.
If I want to rant for 5 minutes about something, I'm gonna.
Being vegan is not about being perfect. Being vegan is about doing the best you can. Frankly, I don't love those products enough to go back on my ethics.
It's because I'm a bit of a zombie, a vegan zombie. Oh, that reminds me of a joke. It's very dangerous. Let's see what happens. I've seen anti-fur buttons on leather jackets. I'm not even joking.
We all want the same thing. We all want to survive, we want to thrive, we want to be happy, and we want to live.
Welcome to Red Radio, vegan banter with a bite.
I like to refer to myself as a professional vegan. The mission and the motivation behind all of the work that I do is to advocate, to encourage, and to celebrate all of the glorious benefits of the vegan lifestyle.
It became clear to me, I guess, 2009 or thereabouts. I started going, I really just don't care as much about anything else in my life as I do about this. I am so passionate about this, and I want to spread the message with every fiber of my being. It's just all I want to do, and so I started to sort of, hatch a plan to make it my life and my career. And I was approached by somebody who went to the same gym as me. His name's Jamie Kilstein. He's the host of Citizen Radio. Found each other in the gym, and he said, listen, I have this radio show. I had no idea. I didn't know what Citizen Radio was. I didn't know how big Citizen Radio was. And he's like, I have the show, come on and talk about veganism. I was like, who the hell am I? I don't know. He's like, well, you know more than most of the people I know about veganism, so come on, talk about it. I said, all right. I went on the show, and the response was so crazy and so overwhelming and so positive that it inspired me to create my own show. And that's where Red Radio was born. And ever since Red Radio, it's just been a big old tumbleweed.
Really, at the end of the day, for me, what it's all about is the animals. I love what I do, and it's a really good thing because even though veganism has made great strides in the recent years, animal rights as well, I think it's safe to say we can all probably agree that there's plenty of work left to be done. And that's also why I'm really excited to see all of you here, and why I'm grateful to be confident enough in my convictions that I can help all of you find your paths to veganism and to activism as well. But obviously, that wasn't always
7 years ago. I was kind of I like to call it a sloppy vegetarian in high school, and that really just means not vegetarian at all. I stopped eating pigs, and I stopped eating cows, and I stopped drinking milk from cows in high school. But it's not like I was asking when I went out for dinner. I wasn't asking if there was milk in the donut that I was having. I mean, obviously, it was just sort of a home thing. And then I moved to New York City from Toronto, and then I moved to New York City when I was 18 years old. So I went out for dinner with a good friend of mine who was vegan, and somebody I really admired, not just because she was vegan, but because she had very strong convictions in everything that she did. And we went out for dinner, and we happened to order the same thing. And we sat down, and she saw that I had the same thing, and she said, oh my gosh, we have the same food. I said, yeah. She goes, are you vegan? And I said, no, I'm not vegan. And she said, well, why not? And for the next probably 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 minutes, I just vomited out all of the reasons why I thought were valid for me not to be vegan. And she did the best thing that she could have done, and that was just let me talk. And it was the first time that I had heard myself talk about veganism, and it's the first time I heard myself give those excuses. And I was mortified. I sounded like an imbecile. And I was pretty mad at myself. I got home that night, I was like, I just did not sound like an educated individual at all. And I was really kind of beating myself up because I thought if I'm going to say that I can't be vegan for a reason, then I should have at least given it a good solid try. That Sunday, I went out for a massive sushi dinner. I said, this is going to be my last non-vegan meal. When I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to be vegan for 7 days. I'm going to be vegan for a week, and then after the week is over, I'll be able to tell everybody that I tried it, and I hated it, and it's not for me, and that's that. And after about 3 or 4 days, I felt so fantastic and so different, and things started changing so quickly that week turned into a month. I said, okay, try it for a month. And about 2 or 3 weeks into that month, I started to educate myself on like the ethical and the animal and the environmental aspects of veganism, and after that it was a no-brainer.
But the moment that I declared to myself and to the universe that I was vegan, something very interesting happened. So here I was, proudly, bursting out of the closet as a vegan, I was sort of very happy with a newer, grander, more compassionate version of myself. I was defining myself as vegan, but somehow that wasn't enough. It wasn't specific enough. People demanded to know what kind of vegan I was. What kind of vegan I am? Like part-time? Or like a practicing vegan or an orthodox vegan? I didn't know what people meant there. The most interesting thing about the question is how it's usually asked. And that conversation generally goes a little bit like this. Okay, so I'm me. I'm vegan. And now I'm everybody else. Oh. Well, I mean, you're not that kind of vegan, are you? Suddenly I'm painting a different picture here. And that's a very different question, and that begs a very different kind of answer. It's not that this individual is particularly concerned with my choices or my philosophy. Don't be fooled. This is more obviously of a rhetorical question, but the problem with the question is that the judgment about vegans and veganism is already there before the conversation even happens. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty, and I will get into the nitty-gritty, I should make it crystal clear that I feel that questions like this, and people who ask questions like this, should be taken with a grain of kosher salt. What is that kind of vegan? And how do you know if you are that kind of vegan? Well, there are a few answers to this question, and there are a few variables depending on who's asking the question to begin with. But I noticed that many of us go through the same sort of emotional journey when we first go vegan, and unfortunately, parts of that emotional journey have a tendency to translate negatively to the outside world, especially if they're not vegan. It's definitely a roller coaster ride, and balancing all of these feelings that inevitably come up, it's definitely a challenge. And that challenge is where that kind of vegan comes from. So during the first year of my veganism, I was the kind of vegan that I will never ever be again. And I call that the apologetic vegan. I was still getting comfortable with my new lifestyle, and I was trying to learn as much as I could. And because I didn't yet have all the answers or the perfect answers, I assumed the role of doormat more often than I like to admit. I didn't want to inconvenience anyone. I didn't want to stand out from the crowd. I didn't want to draw attention to myself. So, when we would go out to dinner, no, don't worry about me. I'll get something to eat later. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And, when somebody offered me non-vegan food, I would apologize. I'm really sorry, but I'm vegan. I can't. Shrinking. That's what I was doing. I was shrinking. And, when people came to me with their reasons that they're not vegan, I would say, it's not for everyone. Guess if you're not comfortable with it, to each their own. I would never do that now. I was spineless, and I let people and their opinions sort of walk all over me and have their way with me, and I promise you I'll never do that again. First and foremost, I'll tell you this. You never have to apologize for your morals or your convictions. To do so is not only to deny your truth, it's also to deny the other person the choice to do things differently. Now think about this for a second. It's distinctly possible that the person you're talking to has never been gifted the opportunity to choose. They might not even know that a choice exists. So be that gift. Be that person for them. Ask for a vegan-friendly restaurant when you go out for dinner. And if somebody is cooking, maybe having a big dinner, a big event, offer to bring a dish. Educate those who are uninformed about veganism as best you can, and do it joyfully. Be empowered and speak your truth. Your job is to make sure that the message that you are delivering